This one is South Sudan voices. Brought to you by Ruka Music. Anagi kore selilera buna aula tena kulu mendo baba baba tena wadu mama abutu mon butu chalo mon kikaba igaba ulio mon kikore le asanka kari abutu mon kirita okyande satumaiti mama kole papa yate magato sabala panate maende sabi biyande magato sabala manale maende sabi aulade raba bigata kian banate kulu talagazila kedeni na derecho yatanina makili matarabuna ashania satumenu baba wele matangani tekafile tuwe
I'm sharing.
Yes.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Background noise.
From my end?
I'm not sure.
Let me check. I think it is coming from your side.
Possibly.
I don't hear it now. Yeah, it's coming now.
Echoing.
Yeah, echoing. Yeah, I think it's from the music.
Echo cancellation, so it's better, I think.
Yeah.
playing from iPhone 2.
All right.
Okay.
All right. My name is Samuel Siricho. Thank you for joining us. We are going to discuss issues in regard to South Sudan. For those who are foreigners, you are also welcome to listen to the discussion. But we are going to talk about some issues in regard to South Sudan. So let me end the music here. Let me end the music. I would like to welcome you. As I indicated, my name is Samuel Siricho. Thank you for joining us. I will bring our guest shortly, but I would like us to pay attention to the discussion as we go through. All right. You hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I think we are having some issues here, technical issues in regard to the mic. I think I would blame that to my kids because they play game too much. Children are gamers. But anyway, welcome, sir. And as I indicated, happy July 1st. We live in the United States. We celebrate with these people together. Most of us are U.S. citizens, and that's a blessing to us. We are going to discuss a topic about is federalism a solution to South Sudan problem? And that's what we are going to deal with. I have Sabata Ramba this morning, and I still have you and Lori Orojing, but we got some stuff to take care of. But anyway, we apologize for any technical issues we have went through. I hope you guys hear us very well. If you don't hear us, let us know so that we can adjust or fix the problem. Pastor Henry, you are a theologian who turned a politician, and you understand the issues in regard to federalism. One of the countries we live in today, they practice that. What do you think? Do you think this system of government will fix the problem in South Sudan?
Thank you very much.
And you can even define it before you go to that solution.
Thank you very much, Brother Cirillo. Glad to be here again. I guess this should be my third time being hosted here. And the topic is very, very important because this is what defines what a government should be. First of all, I'm not well versed in this topic of federalism. I'm a theologian, like you said, but reading here and there, at least I may say, well, I have some few understanding. Federalism, as you know, is a kind of a system of governance. A system that actually disperses access to things like power, things like wealth and resources, not just to one area, but widely to different territorial groups, which in our case of South Sudan, the states, such that all these territorial groups, or whatever you call them, states, all benefit equally. And this is what I know about federalism. And based on that fact, and also on experience that some of us have had over the last couple of years, whether here in the United States, in Canada, or in other Western countries, and also particularly for me, for myself, being in Nigeria for many years, a country that is called the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I could see that the system indeed is a good one. This is not something that we are talking out of blue. We felt it, we saw it being done, except that if it is not done faithfully, we also run into some troubles. Yeah.
Okay. You just indicated that it is a system as you described. You mentioned the United States and Canada. Canada is a monarch. It is under the British. They run with, but of course there are similarities in regard to that.
Yeah.
But as you say, what are the problems you think that can be fixed when it comes to federalism?
Well, there are a number of things that we can fix through this system of government. First of all, let's talk about governance itself. Let's talk about power itself. Let's talk about resources. These are things that are very crucial when we talk about federalism. Okay. Now, the kind of federalism that I have in mind is a federalism that actually relates to representation, a representative kind of federalism that the people are represented and they feel it right at the grassroots. And that means it has to be democratic. It must be democratic. So we cannot have a federalism without democracy. It's not going to work even. It's not going to work. So we must have that, such that we elect people to parliament, to offices, people that represent our needs in the federal system. This is not there in South Sudan. But over the last years that I've been in Nigeria, that has been the system, and it works. It works. So now, if people are elected and represent and being represented, then issues like resources definitely would be dispersed in a very faithful way. But right now, it is not happening because the system is not there. And even if we say, well, there is a system, there is a federal system, it is not there because it is not representative. So if people are not represented, then how are they going to have the power to decide things for themselves? How will they have the power to get the resources? It's not going to work. And I'm saying,
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
and I'm saying this not for any other thing. Even in the church, I don't know, maybe some other churches. Our church is actually fashioned from that democratic, representative kind of thing. I once wrote something on the social media about how the government of the United States was fashioned. It was fashioned on the Trinity. God the Son, God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, which is actually the three arms of the government of the United States, which was taken from the Presbyterian system of government, which is actually a federal kind of thing, that members of the churches are represented by these people called the elders. They are called the deacons, and they are called the teaching elder, which is the pastor. So the church becomes democratic. All their needs are channeled through the elders, and that's how United States was fashioned.
I agree on you on that. I'm also actually have a portion of theology in me.
Good.
But if we look to the history of theology, actually it came from this rebel priest, Martin Luther King Sr. So he's the guy who actually shaped and brought democracy in the U.S. If you hear these people called the
Puritans.
Who are so radical, they think they are the guys who actually shape the system in the U.S. As we indicated, it's based on that all the Protestants, and then others flow from all the continent of Europe, and then they initiate this system of government. It is based on that. Yes, logic. The issue is how logic is the system, and how dictatorial minds arise in some parts of the world. The good thing about federalism is you have a balance of power.
Yeah.
I understand that very well. You have a balance of power in which the federal system don't interfere in the state's government, because the state government these are elected officials too.
Yeah.
And so they represent a certain state from one to another, and they have their legislative branch of government, but they have to rely on to make that. Earlier, Mr. Rampa talked about that, but even that context, that we understand in a way that
would say.
Let me mention some stuff to you.
Okay.
So South Sudan is a diverse society. We religiously we are also diverse. We have Catholic. The majority of them are Catholics.
Yeah.
And you know the Catholic system. The Catholic system is actually dictatorial. I'm sorry to tell you, this is my opinion. But the Catholic system also have, they have a balance of power, and they have to respect who is ahead of them, which is good. It runs fantastic.
Yeah.
But in South Sudan we do have Catholics, and then we have the Protestants, various denominations, and then we have the enemies to those who practice African religions. And in African, some of the African religions have democracies.
Yeah.
I believe you in Bonyulu tribe have a democracy there. Nobody can just go around and try to play a game without being punished. You know. So given that context, what do you think is how will we come together and shape this country?
It is easy if we all have the will. If we all have the will, it will be easy. The problem is that many South Sudanese have no will to agree that this is a system that will do for everyone. You see, like you mentioned that it's a diverse country. South Sudan is a diverse country. I agree, it is. But is it more diverse than Nigeria? Is it more diverse than the United States? I don't think so. If we consider Nigeria and the United States of America, they are more diverse than us in all the things that you have mentioned, whether being religious, whether being ethnically, whatever. They are so diverse. But they have the will, they have the will that this is something that can work for us. This is something that can bring harmony. This is something that can bring equality. This is something that everybody can be heard. Then they went for it. So what's so difficult about us? It is difficult because people are not in position to accept the fact that they want each and everyone to benefit. They never agree on that. They see that as a threat. These are people that are not putting the country first. They put themselves first. So if they are to exercise that kind of government, that kind of a system in the country, then they're going to lose whatever they have in their hearts. See, they want to control people. They want to control resources. So they can't work with this kind of system until South Sudanese say it is enough. This is what we want. Then that will work. And I'm not saying that it is going to answer every things that we need. Even here in the United States, democracy is not answering everything. I mean, federal system of government is not answering everything. But at least it has covered most of the things that the people need. You see that? Now, when we talk about this kind of system, we also need to consider the relationship between the government and the different states that are contained, and also relationship between a state and a state. We also have to look into all those kind of stuff. For example, this recently, when the issue of abortion, when abortion was struck in in the Supreme Court. Some states were saying, oh, we are going to implement. Some are saying, no, we are not going to implement. Some are saying, okay, if this happens in your state, you did abortion and your state want to punish you, you run to another state which accepts abortion, we are not going to extradite you. All those things have to be agreed upon. So the relationship between the government, which is vertically, and the relationship between states and states, which is horizontally, must also be taken into consideration. So we are not saying that when we are now exercising the system, we are all going to be so independent to the fact, to the extent that we are not cooperating with the other states, we are not cooperating with the government. All those things have to be defined in the constitution. You see? So this is what we are talking about.
That's correct. That's correct. I agree on you on that. But let me add to that. Actually, the structure of the government starts from the family. The family is one of the models that we can see in the nation. So in the family we have crisis, but nobody kill another one. Sometimes it happens.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
But the family is run by two systems of government. You have a father and you have a mother. All of them have to contribute to the goodwill, welfare of the kids. And so when you take that one and put it to the nation, like us, so it just helps us. We have actually most of the democracies. I was listening this morning to the news, and I saw in Chile, they were celebrating because their right had been given to them, because their system of government is based on that. But let us not go and dwell in that. But you mentioned about Nigeria. Nigeria went through some up and down, some upsets. We will find some dictators like those of Ibrahim Babangida, they overthrow the government. But still Nigeria maintained the welfare of their citizens. That means the government treat everybody equally. So of course there is very rampant corruption in the country, but their system is still warm. It is functional, and that's one of the countries we can look at. And then you remember about India, more even diverse than Nigeria. But let us put that one pending. We need to go to how the federalism can operate in the foreign system, like a relationship between the government and other countries.
Oh yeah, yes. My dad also.
Let me add this question.
Okay.
Do you think other states in South Sudan can build relationships with other governments outside South Sudan, or do you think only South Sudan is a representative of the whole nation? So the state cannot go and ask for what do you say, donors, or cannot go
Grants,
and go ahead, explain that to us.
Yes, it all depends on what kind of federalism that we are looking at. Because when you embark on that road, it is going to be enshrined in the constitution of the nation. It's going to be enshrined there. What are the powers, for example, what are the powers of the state? What are the powers of the federal? in the central. All those things have to be defined correctly so that tomorrow nobody interferes. You see, yes, like here, like in other federal nations, yeah, states governors possess powers that they can do without going through the what? Without going through the central government. They can enact things that, you know, economic things that does not need the central government. You see, with other nations, they can do that. You see, as long as it is within the constitution. You see that? And there are things that, of course, they can't do. They can't involve themselves in a foreign policy, which is actually, a country has one policy. Things like military, they can involve in, and all those kind of things. This is a work of the central. You see, we can talk about the judiciary. Yeah, the Supreme Court and the state courts or whatever. All those things have to be defined. But going back to your question, yes, the states have certain rights to conduct business outside their state or the country without consulting the central government. They can do that. Yeah. Because every state needs to develop. They need to develop. So they have their own policies. The policies in Minnesota could be different from the policies in Wisconsin or elsewhere. So that is one of the benefits of the federal system of government.
Excellent. In South Sudan today, one time I learned that our Eastern Equatoria envoy went to make consultation in order to bring something. All right. In order to bring the investors in Eastern Equatoria, so that that is doable in South Sudan too. And what is really the system we have in South Sudan today? We can educate others.
That's a good question. You know, I even asked that question. South Sudan is still banking on a federal system that was designed before this transitional government. That was the older one. And they call it as a federal system. But when you look around, when you see their actions, what they do, does that reflect federalism at all? Of course not. You see? So I can say, point clear, that we don't have a federal system of government. We don't have it. Otherwise, we shouldn't be issuing degrees. I've never seen a federal system that issues degrees. It doesn't work that way.
So are you talking about this decentralization policy of the Mary?
It is. They call it is a federal system, but in real sense, it is a central system of governance, which mirrored dictatorial regime.
All right, sir. I think it would have been great to have you on the show. I think our time is winding up. It's supposed to end by 6, and we are almost 6
personally, if I have that power, and not only me, if South Sudanese are given the opportunity to choose, I think it is better for us to make the right decision of choosing federalism. If you hear all the cry all around, it is all about federalism. People want to feel the government in where they are. People want to feel the developments right where they are. People want to feel freedom where they are. So even if this government is saying that no, we are a federal system of government and all this, and they're still stamping down on that system itself, then understand that this government is not going to take us anywhere. It's not going to take. The government lives in fear. It lives in fear because with federalism, it comes with economic freedom. It comes a whole lot of freedoms, political, whatever, and it brings competition. It brings competition. Now, if you take our case in South Sudan, is it bad to compete as states, develop each other? It is a good idea. I always want to refer to Nigeria because that's the closest country to my heart. That's a country I lived for many years. That you go to any state, if there is no development, it is the people of that state that fail their own state. If you go to northern Nigeria, the states are poorer. They have no amenities like in the south. Will you blame the government? Will you blame other states? No. It is the will of the people of the state. It is their seriousness. It is how they hold their leaders into account that will make the state developed. Many of us in South Sudan are afraid of that because they are not willing even to go to their own state and develop. So if federal system is there, they think about Kokora. They are going to be sent back. And what's wrong about that? Kokora was not even a federalism. It wasn't even. But if we mean federalism and your state is given powers, given all the budget and the finances or whatever resources that they get from the state kofia, then what's wrong with that? I can go back to my state and develop. But we have a kind of people in South Sudan that are afraid of that because they have a different agenda. They don't want to be where they are, they want to be where other people are. And that's not right. So we South Sudanese, let's begin to examine this, especially the youth, the young people. They begin to think about that. Because if we leave it to these old politicians who have ripped our country apart, we are not going to get it. It is the youth. And when we're talking about this, we're not talking about affiliation to tribes. You must break away that bond of slave, of tribe. You must break away with that. And that's what will save our country. Because when you see all these politicians all around, these are people that are in few years' time, they are gone. They are just there for their own benefit, for the money, for whatever is there. They are very destructive. They don't want federalism. But those who have a future, the young ones, let them consider that seriously. And that's my advice. And it's not, yeah,
go ahead.
and it is not like we are going to get all the solutions. I mentioned this earlier. We still run into problems here and there. But if we have the will, we are serious, we mean business, we will develop our country. We will develop our country. Yeah.
Let us always cross our fingers.
Yeah.
I believe by God's grace everything will be alright.
I
We are
hope
a
so.
country of many tribes, and it is really a blessing to be a South Sudanese, especially after we achieved independence. It just makes us feel like we own ourselves. We have worked with the Northerners for many years. They play games on us. So when we receive this new nation, we celebrate it together. We mourn the death of Garrick together.
Yeah.
And we celebrate with our old leaders. Those are Abel is still there, those of Joseph Lagu is still there. If you are to have a chance to listen to them, even our spiritual fathers, like what they say, Marie de Taban, you know, it just, you feel at home.
Exactly.